Welcome to One Move at a Time, the show where we highlight people and organizations that are advancing our U.S. Chess mission statement to empower people, enrich lives, and enhance communities through chess. I'm Dan Lucas, the Senior Director of Strategic Communication at U.S. Chess, and my guests today are Matthew Kearney, the Executive Director of the Chicago Chess Foundation, and 17-year-old Jack Heller, a high school junior, expert-rated player, and one of Illinois' top scholastic chess players. Matthew became CCF's third executive director in April 2022. Before becoming ED, he served as the program's manager for 4 years. He has diverse experience in using enrichment activities as a vehicle for youth development in the US, Asia, and Africa. The Chicago Chess Foundation was formed in 2014 to provide chess instruction, training, and competitive opportunities to all Chicago students. They join me today to talk about the Chicago-Ghana Chess Exchange and their very recent trip to Ghana. So, Coach Matt and Jack Heller, welcome to the One Move at a Time podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Matt, why don't you start by giving us a broader overview of the Chicago Chess Foundation?
For sure. Yeah. So the Chicago Chess Foundation is a youth development organization here in Chicago that uses chess as a vehicle for social, emotional, and leadership development. Our mission is to serve all youth of Chicago. As you mentioned earlier, competitive chess opportunities, school chess clubs, and also free summer camp spaces for youth, really meeting youth wherever we can. We also have a focus on reaching students that wouldn't otherwise have the resources to access programs like we provide. So we focus on underserved communities of Chicago and really do all of our outreach in those neighborhoods so that we can even the playing field and welcome everyone to the chessboard through what we do.
With a focus on Chicago, what led to the Ghana Chess Exchange?
That's a great question. So, as we all globally experienced in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, we were, as a small nonprofit in Chicago, trying to figure out and pivot just like every other business and organization in the world. How do we make enriching experiences for our youth here in Chicago? It just so happened that while we were brainstorming and reaching out to our community, we were connected with a supporter of ours who happened to be the husband of the U.S. ambassador to Ghana at the time. So it's kind of a windy road of connections. But we sat down and had a conversation with him and said, what would it look like? Since we're all on computers, we're all remote anyway, what would it look like for us to get 15 to 20 students from Chicago and then, do a 2-hour session via Zoom, small 5-round blitz tournament with 15 to 20 kids in Ghana. And right away, our contact in Ghana had a connection with an organization called Basics International, and a woman named Pat Wilkins, who was actually the person who helped us set up this whole exchange in the first place. So about a week later, we set up the meeting. We got on a Zoom call, just like we're doing now, and set a date for the next month to bring 15 to 20 kids from Chicago South Side, and then 15 to 20 kids from Basics International, as well as an international school called Ghana International School in Ghana. We came together online, played on a Saturday morning, 5 rounds of blitz chess, and then between the rounds, we would break off. We would be on Zoom, so we would break off in breakout rooms and facilitate some small 5 to 10 minute discussions between the youth here in Chicago and the youth in Ghana. Talking about, what food do we eat? What music do we listen to? What's it like experiencing the pandemic? And just a way on Saturday mornings, when youth are stuck at home with nothing to do, just the opportunity to be able to share and express themselves with someone of a completely different culture, a completely different lifestyle, we found it just to be very enriching and very empowering. So we continued to do that throughout the pandemic, really for about 8 or 9 months, once a month, connecting online. And so that's how it started. After we started going back to normal life, it got a lot harder to tie students down on Saturdays, especially when the chess season starts and in-person chess tournaments were coming back. You know, all of our players were all over the place. But then an opportunity came for us to seek a grant to make this an in-person exchange. And luckily we won that grant, and then this trip came to fruition.
And Jack, tell us a little bit about the trip. What was your experience going? How many of your fellow students went with you?
Well, there was, I think, 6 other students there. 6 in total, 5 others, and it was just well, obviously the flight was a whole experience in and of itself. Very long flights to get there, but like being in Ghana was just like otherworldly. The people there were amazing. Like we live like, I think, was it like 6,000 miles apart, but it's just like we really clicked with all the kids there, all of us. We're similar ages and we all have similar interests, and it was just like a very welcoming experience on like all accounts. Everyone there was super kind, very like warm, and it was a great experience. We saw a lot of nature too, played a lot of chess, of course.
Not a way to win, but it's just how grandmasters play the opening and how they
You need black Chinese. It's supposed to be D6.
So I'll play G5. It doesn't make much sense because he's not trying to castle.
So as an expert rated player, were you the highest rated making this trip?
I was, yes.
What is your personal chess history? When did you start playing?
Well, my dad taught me when I was about 4 years old, me and my older brother. And I started actually playing in Chicago Chess Foundation tournaments in like the kindergarten, first, second, third grade. And I just kept playing in them all through like middle school. And I switched over to like rated tournaments in addition to those pretty early on too, like 3rd or 4th grade. So I've been playing chess for a really long time, met a lot of people, played hundreds of, maybe even thousands of games, and it's been a humongous part of my life.
And the kids in Ghana, did they have any experience with the game before they were contacted by the Chicago Chess Foundation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yes. Yeah. I'll
I
let
can
Coach Matt answer it.
I can give a little background on that too, because that was
Okay.
also one of the driving forces. The organization that we partnered with, Basics International, I can't go into the specific year because I can't remember, but they had a volunteer. They bring in volunteers from all over the world, and they had a volunteer come in the early 2010s who brought chess with her. She had a passion for chess. And so she began teaching the kids chess. At one point, their enthusiasm grew and grew and grew. And at one point, they actually had Maurice Ashley visit their location, which then reignited their passion and made it grow even more. So they've had about a decade of chess. They have a chess instructor that we got to work with and meet there. So no expert, no titled players, but Jack, you could probably speak to the ability and some pretty formidable chess players there.
Yeah, of course. They were really, I think like something that made them like, I don't know, they were very eager to learn about chess and eager to play whenever, and they have a lot of potential, like all of them, and their coach is very good too.
And Jack, that
Mhm.
raises a question for me. Growing up in Chicago, in the scholastic chess scene, it's very established, very well structured.
Mhm.
I'm curious if you saw that your relationship with the game of chess growing up, did you notice any difference with how the Ghanaian students had a relationship with the game of chess that was noticeably different from how scholastic players in America view it?
Think that the eagerness to play chess is found in both. I think because of how structured it is in Chicago, especially, there's more like I don't know, I feel like there's a lot more opportunities to play as well in here, and it can get like super competitive with all the trophies, all the awards. And not that they don't like play too often there, they play very often, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like there's a different side of like competitiveness in Chicago. It's kind of, not that it takes like the fun out of it, because it's very fun to play, but it's just different. I think everyone's like super enthusiastic there to play, and like not everyone's enthusiastic in Chicago too, but it's a little different. And it's hard to describe, but mhm.
And I noted that because I saw some of the videos from the trip that you left as a 16-year-old, came home as a 17-year-old. Talk about the birthday celebration in Ghana.
It was amazing. It was very surprising, and they sang like a traditional happy birthday song in the courtyard at Basics. I got some.
Are you 7? Yes. Are you 8? Yes. Are you 9? Yes. Are you 10? Yes. 15? Yes. Are you 16? Yes.
I got some cool gifts. I got some sunglasses. It was amazing. Probably the best birthday I'll ever have. It was a very different experience from all my other birthdays.
So I hadn't thought about gift exchange. It's a very common thing to do on these cross-cultural things to do for each group to give the others gifts. Did the Chicago Chess Foundation, did you guys bring some gifts for the Ghanaian students?
Well, these shirts actually, these are newer shirts, and we gave the other ones to some of the kids there, of course. And I think this is just the shirts, but
Lower your camera a bit so we can see the full shirt.
yes, of course.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
A student at Basics, Mary, actually gave us all like hats of, like, I got a New York hat in my room now. It's awesome. And I think every Chicagoan student got a hat from her, which is very cool.
Yeah. So have you traveled internationally before?
No, this
So
is
your first international trip
this
was
is my
Ghana.
first like international
okay.
trip. It was amazing. Yeah.
What would you say was your most surprising experience on this trip? Chess preferably, but even if it wasn't chess related.
Mhm. Well, I mean, obviously, my birthday was very the birthday surprise was very surprising, but this isn't chess related, but it was like, so I grew up in Chicago, of course, and like, it's a busy city, it's loud, but it was just totally different in Ghana. Like, we were always doing something. It's always everyone's like always active there, like even more so than in Chicago. So when I got back here, I was like I was stunned by how quiet it was. Like I could hear myself think. It was silent. It was like it was too silent. It felt weird actually. Um, we were just doing stuff like all day, every day, and um, I think I got like used to the noise there. Like at night there would be music. There's always something happening.
Right.
Mhm.
So, Matt, I have another question about the kind of the background of the trip, but I suspect now that I know that there was a personal connection in your group to the ambassador of Ghana. Maybe this question has been answered, but I'm curious about the grant from the U.S. Embassy. And it sounds complicated and something that would cause you to drown in red tape, but maybe knowing someone who knows someone helped avoid that.
Yeah, so again, I can't really overstate how essential the relationship between the Chicago Chess Foundations and Basics International is. Um, just like any great thing that happens, I would say in our world, it starts with a strong relationship, as the foundation of it. So the grant is actually a specific grant through the U.S. Embassy in Ghana to create ties and strengthen ties between local Ghanaian businesses and organizations with a counterpart in the United States. So the grant was actually to the organization Basics International for this specific trip. So us as the Chicago Chess Foundation collaborated in writing the grant, collaborated in planning everything. Um, However, Basics International was awarded with it, and we got to reap the benefits with a beautiful trip. And again, the mutual connection and the mutual benefit came from, of course, the cultural exchange with students, the students that we did bring, the workshops that we were able to do, engaging youth in our way of doing competitive chess tournaments, because we ran 2 chess tournaments while we were there. And it was interesting to see the difference between, how we would do it more with USCF stylistic things as compared to a FIDE tournament, which the rules are the same, but there's different stylistic things. So those type of things, we were able to bring chess clocks for basics so that they could start running their own tournaments. So there was a huge benefit to that relationship that came to fruition through this grant.
Are these type of grants, is this a common thing for embassies throughout the world or developing world to do, or is this something that was just a specific initiative of our embassy in Ghana?
There's not a great straightforward answer. There is things that happen like this all over the world. I know this grant specifically, this was a more unique way of using it. Usually it's more used as like entrepreneurial or business, business focused grant. Whereas ours was more youth development and, nonprofit-y, non-governmental, community and youth development focused. And there are opportunities around the world in different countries. It really depends on how the embassy is set up, how their outreach team and the community affairs departments are set up.
What is your personal chess history, Matt?
So I came a different way. Jack and I may have started playing chess around the same year. I was a little older than he was, though. So I learned how to play chess when I was a child, but didn't really understand the ins and outs of the game until about 2017 when I joined the Chicago Chess Foundation as the programs manager. And that's when I was really first introduced to the community, the Chicago chess community, and the chess world, here in the US in general. I always had a respect for the game. I always felt like, decision making and problem solving, I feel is one of my personal strengths. And so I was pretty good at beating players in chess. And I was like, wow, I'm a pretty good chess player. And then I found the chess community and realized, I bringing my rooks out right away is not, I'm not going to move my A or H pawn to start the game like I would before I joined CCF. So I came about in a more roundabout way, in a way that I was looking for ways to interact with the community and interact with youth. And chess became that vehicle here in this city through our organization, the Chicago Chess Foundation.
And Jack, did you ever imagine growing up as a chess player that you would have such opportunities beyond the board by playing the game?
No, absolutely not. I would never dream of going on an international trip because of just the game I love. So it's no, absolutely not. It's amazing.
Do you plan to go to college?
Yes.
And are you hoping to go to a school that has a chess team?
Yeah, that would be nice for sure.
But you're not necessarily right now looking at that specifically, and you don't think that will be the ultimate deciding factor?
Well, I have so chess is obviously a humongous part of my life, but I want to have a career as a veterinarian, and picking a school centered more around that than chess is what I'm looking at right now. And like obviously, if I could find one that has both, then that would be amazing. But if it's one or the other, I'm thinking veterinarian right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are you involved in any other extracurricular activities besides chess?
Well, I run a club. I don't I was on cross country for a little bit. That not competitively, but that's about it. I run an enrichment about the Anti-Cruelty Society, which is a nonprofit Chicagoan organization for shelter animals. So I'm pretty involved with that, as well as like shadowing a veterinarian like just by my school at Old Town Animal Care Center. So I'm definitely involved with stuff. Yes.
Well, very, very cool.
Thank you.
And Matt, is there anything else about the program or the Chicago Chess Foundation specifically that we haven't talked about that you want our listeners to know about?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the big things, I guess, specific about this trip that I would like to highlight is one of the initiatives that the Chicago Chess Foundation is working on trying to establish and grow, which is our Chess Leaders program. So our programs mainly, I guess, historically have focused on kindergarten through 8th grade students. When we talk about our chess clubs, our chess tournaments, and our summer chess camps, we focus on kindergarten through 8th graders and providing opportunities for them. We do have some high schoolers in the mix, but that's not our main population. At about the same time we started this Ghana Chicago Chess Exchange virtually, we had also started our Chess Leaders program, which was a way to take the 8th graders that graduated out of our chess programs and stopped playing at our chess tournaments, kind of like how Jack mentioned in his history. He started moving towards rated tournaments, got a little bit higher, I guess more competitive. So we wanted a way to continue to engage youth like Jack in our programs, but then bring them back, not necessarily as high-level chess players, take advantage of that passion and that ability and that knowledge and skill, but then bring them back to our organization to advise us and for us to help develop in them a passion for their community and I guess a sense of purpose within the different communities that they move in, similar to how Jack talks about outside of chess, how he's involved in his school and his immediate community. So this Chess Leaders program was actually, this Ghana trip was kind of the culminating effort of this year's Chess Leaders program. So we had 9 students participating in the program this year, 5 girls and 4 boys. sorry, 4 girls and 5 boys. For this reason and that, we were only able to bring 6 of them on the trip. And so, it was just really a powerful thing. And you mentioned it, the experience of going overseas and the game of chess leading to positive outcomes off of the chessboard, outside of the chessboard, is, a highlight of what we get to do as an organization, and a focus of what we're trying to do as an organization is use this game and use the beautiful possibility of the 64 squares to not just impact the immediate successes of our youth, but the future success of our communities. And so this program, specifically our high school chess leaders program, which was highlighted by this Ghana Chicago trip, it's something we're super excited about. It's something we're super enthusiastic about, and it's something that we hope grows. With we're hoping to do this Ghana trip again next year. We're hoping that eventually this can turn into a way that we can bring the youth from Ghana that we establish relationships with here to Chicago, and do things that way. So, we're talking right now in 2023, April 2023, where I really have this enthusiasm and this passion that I think this program specifically is going to be one that this is just the beginning. It's going to keep growing, and it's going to keep developing in really, really fantastic ways.
Well, what a wonderful way to close out this interview. So, Coach Matt Kearney and Jack Heller, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of One Move at a Time.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
having us.